Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2005 Dodge Durango Limited. Up front is a 5.7 liter V8 and down below is a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Dodge Durango because this is my first time driving this generation of Durango. This is technically the second generation of Durango. I've reviewed the first, actually funny enough from the same dealer and in the same color, and I reviewed what replaced it, the third generation Durango, which is still on sale for the 2025 model year. So let's take a little bit of a retrospect, figure out what made this generation of Durango good, maybe bad, or maybe ugly. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And huge thank you to North Naperville Autos for letting me borrow the Durango in today's video. If you'd like to browse their inventory, you can do so down in the description below. But let's get back to that 5.7 liter V8. Well, that was a spring chicken at the time of this Durango's release. It was a brand new engine for the Dodge lineup. We also saw this in the Dodge Rams starting in 2003, and it's a decent engine. It stood the test of time and actually still stands the test of time, as it is still optional in some of today's Mopar products. There was also an optional V6 in this era for the Durango, so this was the bigger V8, and I like that I got that. Like I said, paired to it is a 5-speed automatic. Not gonna lie, I was fully expecting a 4-speed, but we get a 5-speed. It's fine. They're not super reliable transmission-wise. Chrysler, Dodge has always sort of had issues with their transmissions going back to the late 80s, early 90s. Last but not least, this particular Durango is 4-wheel drive. However, you could find 2-wheel drive Durangos in the era. How does it feel to drive the Dodge Durango? Well, right off the bat, the first thing I notice is that I feel more like I'm sitting on top of the Durango than in the Durango. It does have a very tall stature, and you feel that from the driver's seat. Visibility is okay. The A-pillars are incredibly thick in front of you. Steering is a little heavy and throttle isn't very responsive. So in terms of driving feel, it ain't great, but I think it has a lot of utility that we'll talk about later on. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 3 gauges. Off to the left is my fuel and coolant temperature gauge. In the center is my speedometer, and off to the right is my tachometer and odometer. On the steering wheel, we have cruise control options as well as the Dodge logo, which was the Ram at the time. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent along with our headlight switch, gauge dimmer switch, fog lights, and down below are pedal adjustments. And moving on to the door, we do have an infinity sound system, 2 levels of memory seats, power mirrors, and power windows. Up above, we do get an information center, which is really, really sweet, and this was also found on the Ram at the time. Moving into the center, we get more climate vents, our 4-wheel drive settings off to the left, so either all-wheel drive, 4-lock, or 4-low, like that you get those options. And in the center, we get the radio, very typical Dodge radio, was tossed into pretty much every Dodge product of the era, including the Ram, but also like the Charger, which was brand new for this model year. And down below, we have our climate controls. Very interesting climate controls. They're just laid out in an interesting way that I feel like I haven't seen before. And it gets a power button at the bottom left. Specifically, it denotes power, not just like an on-off switch. And we do have climate controls for the rear as well, so nice to see that. A little cubby with a 12-volt outlet, some cubbies down below with coin holders, big storage, and cup holders, so we'll do a big friggin' bottle test. And here's the thing, with this cup liner in, it does not pass. However, if you remove the cup liner, it does. However, I can't give the Durango a pass because when you remove the cup liner, it looks like you're seeing into the guts of the car. It's not supposed to be removed. And so I can't in good conscience say, yeah, it fits if you disassemble the center console. Then we do get a storage cubby in the armrest. Nothing really to see in there. And the seats. The seats are leather. They're comfortable. I don't really have any notes about it. This was a little bit more uppity, and we'll talk about that more towards the end of the video, how this was kind of a little bit luxurious and how I would love to review the actual luxury version, the Chrysler Aspen. But we have plenty to get to before that, so let's hop in the back and do some backseat reviews. Much to my chagrin, I always forget that the Durango is a 3-row vehicle. So, we got that to look forward to. I do have my own heater and climate controls down below. I have 2 cup holders down below, and I don't know if you notice, all 3 of these seats are individual seats, which is kind of interesting, and you do get a middle seat. Nothing too crazy beyond that, but time to now shove myself into the 3rd row. Prayers are appreciated. But with this, all right, so red handle over here, black handle here, and it tilts up a decent amount. Ugh. All right. We're in the 3rd row of the Durango. I pretty badly hurt my knee, but that's okay. With the seats up, not great. However, what is this for? Oh, there it is. You could put this center seat down, and there's actual cup holders in the back here. So then the 2nd row gets 4 cup holders. Or I guess I could utilize, that's not really comfy. Anyway, you can put the middle seat of the 2nd row down, but we'll leave it up. Oh, I get cup holders over here. So 2 cup holders here, 2 cup holders in the back of that, 2 cup holders up there, and then, of course, 2 for the driver and passenger. Cup holder mania. Anyway, it's not a great 3rd row. At the time, they were still making the Dodge Caravan, so that would be my go-to pick for families. But for a 3-row SUV that could tow a little bit, this was a full-frame vehicle, or is a full frame, I don't know why I use past tense, you could do that. So that was kind of the appeals. You could take the family and the dog with you when you go put the boat in the water for the summer. That was the idea. And I'll magically put the towing capacity somewhere on the screen. So, very cool. Let's hop into the back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, around the back of the 2nd gen Durango, and there is a handle right over here. Don't think there's anything else down there, but pull it up, and here is the rear cargo space. So you can pull this up and get a little bit of extra space for like a jack and things like that. And of course, you can put the 3rd row down like that. And then there's this flap that then goes over like that. So it makes it a more flat loading floor. Well, when those seats are down, it sort of fills in the gaps. They also did this with the Chrysler Pacifica of the same era. So kind of interesting to see that. Then you have some pull straps to bring them back up, which it is not the easiest task to do. I do have to say so myself. The SUV is a young man's game. We also do have a 12-volt outlet off to the right. No power tailgate here, but you can close it just like that. Oh, and a spider came out. Oh, well, ain't that okay? That's okay. Go back up. That's terrifying. Okay. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and here's the thing. I think that this generation is the worst looking generation of the Durangos, but that being said, I think it captures the era very, very well, especially towards the end of the 2000s. When looking at this car, don't you just want to listen to Black Eyed Peas? Don't you want Shutter Shades? Don't you want to play Farmville? It just seems so of the era, and so unapologetically 2000s. I mean, 2000s fashion is ugly. It was ugly, 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 and this is too, but it fits in. It just feels so of the era. Like brown shag carpeting for the 70s, or black and white checker pattern with red leather for the 50s. I mean, this is just so 2005. And I kind of adore it in that way. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the 2nd generation Dodge Durango? Well, believe it or not, this car has been on my bucket list for quite some time. I have now driven the holy trinity of the Dodge Durango generations. The 1st gen, the 2nd gen, and the 3rd gen. It's not that serious, but I've also now driven this vehicle's predecessor, the Dodge Ram Charger. And so it's been fun for me to sort of walk through this car's legacy and where it came from. What started off as a D150 pickup with a cap put on the back has morphed into a luxury vehicle. And that's what was happening throughout the 2000s. The development of the SUV really started in the late 70s, early 80s, but it wasn't until the late 90s that manufacturers started actually adding luxurious items like the leather seats, heated seats. They made them ride nicer in the 90s, and this is riding that wave or trend of nicer and nicer SUVs. Today, the most common car is an SUV. It's the most often purchased body style of vehicle. But in 2005, it wasn't that way, and so they were trying to get buyers to swing that way. So they made it enticing, the 3 rows of space, the added leather, the nice Infinity sound system. And now they started naming things that were actual tangible names like Durango as opposed to D150 and vehicles like that. And as we saw with the 3rd generation and still currently see, they started to push those boundaries more. They had gotten to a luxurious point, but then they started going muscle. There was no SRT version of this Durango, although that would have been great to have the 6.1 liter Hemi in this. But I think that this is a great showing of the 2000s. The 2000s were a very transitional period for cars, kind of getting away from the traditional sedan and moving towards the SUV and moving towards electrification and hybridization. Something that we're now reaping the benefits of in 2024, but almost 20 years ago, that wasn't a for sure thing. This Durango's nice. It was a necessary stepping stone, and I was so excited to drive it here today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to North Naperville Autos for letting me borrow their Dodge Durango. They're absolutely wonderful. We've been working together for years, and I've gotten to review some really, really cool cars from them. North Naperville Autos is fantastic. If you're in the Chicagoland area or abroad, because they do offer shipping, please check out their inventory. You'll find something you like. I can guarantee that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.